Rain hammered the roof of the silent mansion as if it was trying to force its way inside. Guests whispered in expensive clothes while a maid stood unnoticed near the wall. No one knew her name. No one cared to ask. Then the front door opened and a lawyer walked in carrying a sealed envelope that made the entire room freeze. When he spoke her name, the tray fell from her trembling hands and shattered across the marble floor. The next words drained every drop of color from the family's faces. "You saw a maid," he said slowly, "but she is the true heir." A hidden past cracked open in that moment, and the key he placed in her palm would unlock a secret buried beneath the house for decades. The lawyer's words lingered in the air long after he stopped speaking. No one reached for a glass, no one dared to whisper. Even the rain seemed to soften, as if the world itself was listening. Eliza stood frozen near the broken porcelain, her heart beat loud inside her ears. Miss Rowan, heir, daughter. Each word felt unreal. She looked down at her hands, still damp from dishwater, now holding an envelope worth more than anything she had ever touched. A chair scraped harshly against the wooden floor. Cousin Margaret rose first, her pearls rattling softly against her throat. "This is absurd," she said, forcing a laugh that sounded too thin. "She arrived here with one suitcase and no history." The lawyer adjusted his glasses. "On the contrary, her history is thoroughly documented." A murmur spread across the room like a slow crack in ice. Eliza sensed the shift immediately, the way their eyes changed. Not invisible anymore. Now she was a threat. Mrs. Davenport stepped forward with unusual care, as though approaching a wild animal. "Perhaps there has been confusion," she said gently. Her kindness felt rehearsed. Eliza noticed it for the first time. "There is no confusion," the lawyer replied. He placed several documents on the table. Sealed, stamped, final. Thunder rolled faintly in the distance. Eliza swallowed and forced herself to speak. "Why did he never tell me?" Her voice came out quieter than she intended. The lawyer looked at her with something close to sympathy. Then Hawthorne believed protection sometimes requires silence. Protection. The word stirred memories she had never questioned. The old man insisting she eat before finishing her chores. The unexpected books left outside her small attic room. The way he watched whenever others spoke sharply to her. A memory surfaced suddenly, one winter evening. He had handed her a pair of gloves. "Cold hands should never belong to someone meant for greater things," he had said. At the time, she thought it was simply the rambling of an aging employer. Now the memory pressed heavily against her chest. A sharp voice cut through her thoughts. "If she has family," a distant uncle demanded, "why hide her?" The lawyer folded his hands calmly. "Because Mr. Hawthorne feared what knowledge can inspire in ambitious hearts." Silence followed, uncomfortable, revealing. Eliza suddenly became aware of how large the parlor felt. Too large, too quiet. The curtains shifted slightly, though no window was open. A draft traced along the back of her neck. She resisted the urge to turn. Instead, her gaze moved to the portraits again. For years, they had been nothing more than decoration. Now she studied them carefully. The resemblance unsettled her, a familiar curve in the brow. The same steady eyes. How had she never noticed before? "You will want to review the estate at your convenience," the lawyer continued. "Effective immediately, all staff report to you." The words struck the room harder than thunder. Staff, including Mrs. Davenport. For a brief moment, the manager's composure cracked. Something cold flashed beneath her polite expression. Eliza saw it, and she understood it. Power had shifted. The lawyer reached back into his case and withdrew a small velvet pouch. From it, he produced an iron key, dark, heavy, ancient. When he placed it in her hand, the chill traveled straight through her skin. "And what does it open?" she asked again, barely above a whisper. "The cellar," he replied. A faint sound escaped Margaret before she could hide it. Fear, real fear. Eliza noticed immediately. "Is something wrong with the cellar?" she asked. "No," Mrs. Davenport answered too quickly. "It is only storage. Dust and broken furniture." Her eyes flickered away. The lawyer observed the exchange but said nothing. Rain intensified, drumming against the roof in restless patterns. Eliza felt a strange pull toward the corridor that led downward, as if the house itself had begun to breathe differently. She turned toward the tall windows. Beyond them, the gardens blurred into gray mist. The estate suddenly felt less like a home, more like a place that had been waiting for her. "Miss Rowan," the lawyer said gently. "There is also a personal message Mr. Hawthorne asked me to deliver verbally." She faced him again. "He said you must trust your instincts within these walls." A pause followed. "Not every locked door is meant to keep danger out. Some are meant to keep it in." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Someone shifted nervously. Another relative avoided looking toward the hallway. Eliza tightened her grip on the key. Questions crowded her mind. Why hide her identity? Why warn her now? What could possibly rest beneath a house this grand? A sudden metallic clang echoed faintly through the floor. Soft, but unmistakable. Every head lifted. Probably the pipes, Mrs. Davenport said quickly. Yet the house had never made that sound before. Eliza knew its rhythms: morning creaks, night sighs, winter groans. This was different. The lawyer closed his case with a firm snap. "My duty is complete," he announced, "but I strongly advise that you do not delay in claiming authority." Authority. The word felt unfamiliar on her shoulders, heavy, yet steadying. Margaret forced a tight smile. "Well," she said, "this will take adjustment for all of us." Eliza met her gaze calmly. "For me as well." The confidence in her own voice surprised her. Years of silence had taught her more than obedience. They had taught her observation and patience. Across the room, Mrs. Davenport clasped her hands so tightly the knuckles whitened. "Dinner will be served shortly," she said. Routine. She was clinging to routine, as if normal structure could undo what had just occurred. Another dull sound rose from below, longer this time, dragging. Eliza felt it more than heard it. A vibration threading upward through stone. No one commented. That frightened her more than the noise itself. She slipped key into her pocket. Its weight was undeniable. The storm outside deepened, shadows stretching across the ceiling like slow-moving water. For the first time since arriving at the estate years ago, Eliza realized something with startling clarity. She had never truly known this house. Not its secrets, not its history, not the reason certain corridors were always locked. The lawyer paused beside her before leaving. "One more thing," he said quietly, so only she could hear. "Your father trusted your courage." The word father sent a tremor through her chest. Courage. She hoped she possessed it, because somewhere beneath her feet, the house answered with another low, patient sound, as if whatever waited below already knew she held the key. The cellar door groaned open, releasing a breath of cold air that smelled of rust and forgotten years. Each step downward echoed like a warning she could not escape. At the bottom, a single lantern flickered, revealing a locked iron chest scarred with deep scratches. Her hands trembled as the key turned, and the lid lifted with a slow, painful creak. Inside lay stacks of old records, faded photographs, and one small bundle wrapped in cloth. When she unfolded it, a second will appeared, naming her not only as heir but as the last protector of a truth the family had killed to hide. Footsteps thundered above her, followed by the sharp click of the cellar door slamming shut. Darkness swallowed the narrow staircase, and she realized someone knew she had found it. A whisper drifted from the shadows behind her, low and steady. "You were never meant to see this." Clutching the documents to her chest, Eliza understood that inheriting the mansion was only the beginning, and surviving the secret would be the real fight.